DFCRadio.com.
DFCRadio.com.
Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow.
Welcome to A Girl in a Garden on DFCRadio.com. This is your host, Emily, and today is March 24th, Tuesday. And I did something that I have not done in a very, very long time. And that is stop traveling for a little bit, stop hanging out with friends, and having a nice, long, relaxing weekend by myself and catch up and do some spring cleaning. And I have to say, it was wonderful and exactly what I needed. So on Saturday, I went to the San Francisco Flower and Garden Show, and that was at the San Mateo Fairgrounds. And it's a great show. I think it might be my 5th year that I've gone out to that show, and it's a good one. There's always some great stuff there. So I will share some pictures later on in today's show of some of the exhibition gardens and the kids areas and the products for sale. And then on Sunday, I got up early and my sister-in-law picked me up, and we went on about a 3-mile walk around the Spring Lake area in Santa Rosa, and it was beautiful. And we went and got coffee before at a cute little coffee place and got some exercise and got to talk, something I have not done with family for a really long time. And then I also did some spring cleaning, and spring cleaning is great because you can just get rid of so much shit that you don't need. And I live in a one-bedroom, I live in basically a bedroom in an apartment that I share, and I still have so much shit. So I cleaned out like 2 garbage bags, a Goodwill thing. I got rid of so much stuff, and it's nice just to declutter. So one of the reasons I do A Girl in a Garden is because I love gardening, and mainly because it is a good way that you can get away from yourself, get away from people, get away from your worries, just have a little bit of enjoyment, get to have some of that creative side. And as it's been said many times before, it is therapy. Gardening is definitely therapy. It releases endorphins. You get to work out in the field, get your fingers dirty, and that's why I love gardening, and I like to share about gardening. So something personal that's going on in my life is I have been going through some cancer stuff, and this has been going on for a while, and recently they found more cancer cells. So I have to have surgery this week on Thursday, and it's a minor outpatient thing, and hopefully it's done. The frustrating part is it is the 3rd surgery in under a year. And it gets nerve-wracking and stressful and just a little bit heavy. So one of the things I love about gardening is I can just go out and do that and leave my worries away somewhere else and get into gardening. So this week I went and bought some succulent plants at the San Francisco Flower and Garden Expo, and I am going to replant some of my fun succulent plants into some kind of goofy planters. And it is my way of de-stressing and having a little bit of fun. So life isn't so heavy, and that's the great part about gardening. The other thing is I will be fine and I'll survive, but gardening definitely helps. I will say the other thing that definitely helps me to relax is smoking pot. And it's not something I always talk about on the show, but since I've been posting pictures on my Instagram that say things like fuck cancer, I will also say I definitely smoke weed, and it's another thing that I like to do when I'm gardening. So I will say before I do succulent gardening or a lot of this stuff, one way to de-stress is to smoke a joint, and the next part is to garden. And doing those together are even better, at least in my book. Nice way to relax and de-stress. So today I'm going to be talking about my succulent garden that I planted, and just a few of the reasons of why I like gardening tonight. So that was totally heavy and personal and not stuff I typically talk about, but I've been a little bit more open with it. And gardening's great. It's good for de-stressing. It's good for medicine. It's good for your health. And this is Emily from A Girl in a Garden on dfcradio.com. So we're going to plant the succulents and take a little bit of a break, and then hear from A Girl in a Garden show sponsors. And then I'll talk about this drought, especially if you live in California, this drought that we keep talking about, and some of the things you can do to reduce water use in your garden. Emily from A Girl in a Garden, and today I am going to be planting some succulents and lithops. One of my favorite things to do and kind of get away from work and stress is gardening. So even if you're not growing vegetables, there's still some really cool plants that you can grow. So today I'm transplanting my succulents that I've had on my back porch, and some of the ones I got at the San Francisco Flower and Garden Show. So I have no idea how these gonna end up, but it's always fun to have a bunch of little garden things and you can create. So this one's pretty interesting. There's some little red coming off of it as well, and there's the lithops, and none of these have tags, so just little succulents. I have this really cool planter, and this needs to be freshened up just a little bit. Maybe some new soil. This big guy that needs to be trimmed up and planted. Some cactus mix. Some decorative rocks. And some different planter options. With the lithops, I gently pulled them out or let them fall out of the containers onto the ground. You'll see that one of them stuck together and then the other one pretty much fell apart. But the lithops I'm going to put in this crystal bowl that I got when I worked as a retail manager at Mikasa, a crystal store that people would register for fine china and crystal. So I still have a bunch of the stuff, and now I'm going to upcycle it into garden containers. So I'm just going to transplant them with the cactus mix into this container. And now it has been transplanted into this pretty crystal bowl, and the lithops are now going to live in here under a T5 light in my bedroom. I'm going to transplant this succulent, which I have had for many years, maybe 4 or 5, in from this 2-gallon smart pot into a larger terracotta pot. And I will just gently pull this out of the smart pots, put it in the bottom of this, and fill it with the cactus mix. Succulent. This guy has now been transplanted into this terracotta pot that I just got at Friedman's Hardware, and this one I've had for quite a few years, 4 or 5. There's even a flower on it right now. It's gotten a little tall, but I will say some people do have issues growing succulents. And here is my advice to have a happy succulent. Leave them alone. Once you've transplanted them into the place where they're going to live, ignore them. Do not water them. Water them as little as possible and leave them alone. And they grow wonderfully. You can even get them to bloom. What most people do with succulents, though, is they water them too much, mess with them, move them around, mainly overwatering and not enough sun. But they're the kind of plants that you should ignore, and they grow better. So some people say they're hard to grow, but they aren't as hard as you think they are. Just leave them alone. So I'm going to transplant this one with one of my favorite things, a goat, into this planter head. And I didn't have any newspaper, so I put some printer paper down here to block up the hole. I'm going to fill this up with the cactus mix and then add in these guys. Now in this planter, I am going to use an old crystal bowl that I got from my days at Mikasa that has this kind of safari scene etched into it. And I don't know why I have all this thick crystal stuff that I will never use. So upcycling it today, and I am going to plant these succulents and use this as a planter because I hate dusting. I might as well use some of this stuff and make them into cool planters. So if you think about it, you have stuff all over your house that you can use as unique and kind of quirky and fun planters. And little milk jugs always have some really cool ones too. Little cow planters and stuff. So they're really fun to plant succulents in because succulents are such slow growing plants and you just ignore them because that's the best way to keep them alive. So I'm going to transplant these, gently take them out of the little cups that they're in, try to reuse some of that soil. So take all of these out, and then I will fill it up with this cactus mix, and then we will transplant. And this last little guy I'm going to transplant into this triangle crystal bowl from Mikasa, which I believe correctly the MSRP on this thing was a ridiculous price. And so I'm glad I didn't throw away, and now I'm upcycling it because it's quirky, but man, I would never use this. So, note to self, do not buy crystalware when you're 18 because you work at a retail mall. You end up with a bunch of crap. But now you have really cool planters. So I just got this one out of its little container and it is super root bound. So it's going to be much happier in its new home. The final product of this little transplant. I have the lithops, some succulents, and this crystal thing. This big guy was transplanted into a larger terracotta. The funky head. And this little guy in the triangle. So gardening doesn't always have to be for food, which I seem to fall into that category most of the time. Always remember there are some really cool and interesting plants that you can grow as houseplants, or these do great outdoors. I know in Northern California area. So it's a great way to expand gardening, get into some plants that are a little bit more, well, interesting if you are not in the strictly food growing category. So for me, I love succulents. I also really like carnivorous plants and San Pedro cactus. So those are some of my favorite ones for around the house. And these, once it gets warm enough, will go outside. And then once I move, probably on the deck or somewhere kind of kept close because these are kind of the more decorative plants. So there we go, transplanting some succulents and some lithops that I had in my garden, and then transplanting the ones from the San Francisco Flower and Garden Show. So this is Emily, a girl in a garden, and until next time, garden on.
We're listening to DFCRadio.com.
Here at Green Grow, we take organic gardening seriously. With our mycorrhizae products, you'll increase growth and help reduce the need to replace old, worn-out soil. We help provide electrolytes and maximize nutrient intake to make your indoor garden lush and green. So give your plants the strength that they need and breathe life into your soil with Green Grow. Find us at your local nursery or visit us at thegreengrow.com. That's thegreen.com.
You are listening to the beautiful Emily Walter on DFCRadio.com.
A Girl in a Garden quick tip. Bees only become aggressive if their hive is being threatened. Many gardeners enjoy tending their garden while bees hover nearby.
We're listening to DFCRadio.com.
You're listening to A Girl in a Garden on DFCRadio.com.
Yellow bird flying, get shot in the wing. These little earthquakes. Here we go again. Ooh, these little earthquakes. Doesn't take much to rip us into pieces. Doesn't take much to rip us into pieces. Doesn't take much to rip us into pieces. All the rowboats in the paintings, they keep trying to row away. And the captain's worried faces.
We're listening to DFC Radio.
Here at Green Grow, we take organic gardening seriously. With our mycorrhizae products, you'll increase growth and help reduce the need to replace old, worn-out soil. We help provide electrolytes and maximize nutrient intake to make your indoor garden lush and green. So give your plants the strength that they need and breathe life into your soil with Green Grow. Find us at your local nursery or visit us at thegreengrow.com. That's thegreen.com.
You are listening to the beautiful Emily Walter on DFCRadio.com.
We're listening to DFC Radio.
Emily from A Girl in a Garden here. Now, I live in California, and if you have not heard about it, we are in a record drought. And every year it seems to get worse. There has been some new reports out, I think from the USDA, that we're going to be out of water potentially as soon as next year in California. And so there are many wastes that we have with water. And not everyone knows that we're wasting it. And then we also have companies such as Nestle bottling water and shipping it to other places. So I'm going to go over a few things that you can do around the house to be water wise. And this will be especially important this year and going forward. And with the drought, everybody needs to pitch in and help out a little bit. So 45-minute showers are a way of the past, hopefully. So water and trees are both precious. I can't even talk right now. Water and trees are both precious resources. Trees don't just make our houses feel like home. They also improve property values, clean our water and air, and even make our streets safer and quieter. When we water wisely, we maintain our trees carefully. We enjoy a wide range of benefits at a low cost with very little effort. So, believe it or not, trees are essential. And I have been lucky enough to live in Sacramento for many years, which is the city of the trees. And they provide shade, aesthetics, and many different things to the neighborhood. So young trees, the roots of younger trees are less established and need easier access to water to establish a deep root system. And when you're planting trees in your yard, and this is the same with most plants, if you do a light watering on top, the roots will never grow down really deep. And it helps with soil erosion, and deeper roots means if you have a windstorm, they won't just fall over because the roots are just on the surface. So, watering young trees twice per week, about 5 gallons, and mature trees once per week in several places. So that would be an equivalent to 1 to 1.5 inches of rain. During the drought, water directly with a hose or a 5-gallon bucket. Mature trees require more water than when growing near heat traps, such as driveways and house foundations. Again, water in the right place. The drip zone, the area directly beneath the foliage and shaded by the tree. Also add mulch to lower soil temperatures and reduce water evaporation. And soil mulch is something, just mulch in general, should be used all throughout the garden. Mulch is a great thing to use in replacement of grass, and it will help trap in moisture and not let it evaporate. Deep watering helps deep root growth and healthier trees. Again, it also establishes a better root system. Now, exposed trees, water loss is greater where trees are exposed to the hot afternoon and strong or constant wind. And deciduous trees, the critical time to water is during bud break in spring and bud formation in late summer. Now, when is the right time to water, especially during drought? And this is for trees and just general plants. Water early in the morning or after the sun has set, as this is when the tree replaces the water they've lost during the day. Also, less water is lost to evaporations at these times. Mulching your tree will also keep soils warmer in winter and cooler in summer. Another biggie is wasting water, so don't waste water. Water so it soaks into the ground rather than running off into the drain. When you see water running to your drain or to the sidewalk, you should know mentally that you are wasting water. And the right choice. Plant native or drought-resistant tree species that require less water. Choose trees over lawn, as trees are a long-term investment. Lawn, you keep fertilizing to make it green and cut it when it grows, and you have to water it. So one of the things that you can reduce around the house is watering in general. A lot of people will be forced and have been forced to turn off their sprinklers. Some cities are offering credits for lawns that are taken out of commission. So if you remove them and switch them over to native plants, there's a lot of rockery that can be done. Mulching is a big thing. And to find the proper plants for your area, so native and deciduous plants, head on over to your independent garden center and talk to the experts there. Your regular garden center, the big box stores, aren't always as helpful, especially because they buy and sell plants that are pretty but not necessarily for your garden zone. And if you do not know your garden zone, you can look up your USDA hardiness zone on USDA.gov, or you can find out your sunset gardening zone if you go to Sunset Magazine, and you can find out your gardening zone from there. Because it's very important to plant the correct plants for your specific space. Now, a lot of people are pulling out their lawns completely, but another concern people have to say is, I have kids that play in the backyard, or I have pets that use the yard as well. Well, you do not have to be completely grass-free. There are many native ground covers or drought-resistant ground covers that you can add. Some of them even look just like grass, but you don't actually have to mow them. It's still very soft. It's perfect for your kids to be able to go out and play. So you have native grass options, you have grass covers, mulching, removing all of your lawns, switching over to trees to add shade and to keep the house cooler. You can also do some gardening so you can grow food instead. Instead of using sprinklers, there's many options out there. A good drip system that waters very slowly and deep can help during the drought. And you can turn it off and water in the early morning or late in the evening so you don't have water evaporation. So instead of the old way of using the hose and spraying your plants down and going plant to plant, a better way would be to invest in a drip system. You can get ones that are battery powered, or you can convert your current sprinkler system into a drip system, and that will help conserve water. If you are in an area where it's legal, you can also collect groundwater, or not groundwater. You can collect water that comes off of your, a gutter. So people will have rainwater collecting systems with barrels, and you do need to check with your local municipality to make sure it's legal in your area. So you can collect water. Another way is to have gray water runoff. So you can switch over your washer and have gray water go into your yard or collect it for watering. That will also help conserve water and reuse water so you can use it in your lawn. And I would also love to hear some of the options that you have outfitted your house with, or steps that you have taken to reduce water use around the house. Everyone loves a nice yard, and food is essential, but there are certain things you can do to help around the house. Another one, I'm looking at some of the PG&E tips of what to help with water reduction. Some people were saying that don't flush your toilet all the time. If it's yellow, let it mellow. Good advice. Sometimes you have to get over what you typically think. Oh, that's a bad thing to do. It's not a bad thing to do. Having bottled water in the house in case you are in well water that goes dry, because if you don't have water, you don't have anything to drink. So conserving water in as many ways as possible. And it's going to be super important this year. So if you have any tips that you've used in the garden, send me an email, agirlinagarden@gmail.com. I would love to hear it. But here's some tips today on surviving the drought for your lawn and saving your trees during the droughts, because trees will also help. Trees are going to help keep the house cooler, or in the summer, especially when it's nice and hot out. So until next time, this is Emily on A Girl in a Garden on DFCRadio.com.
And my ears hear the call of my unborn sons, and I know that choice is color all I've done. But I'll explain it all to the watchman's son. I never lived a year better spent in love.
We're listening to DFC Radio.
Here at Green Grow, we take organic gardening seriously. With our mycorrhizae products, you'll increase growth and help reduce the need to replace old, worn-out soil. We help provide electrolytes and maximize nutrient intake to make your indoor garden lush and green. So give your plants the strength that they need and breathe life into your soil with Green Grow. Find us at your local nursery or visit us at thegreengrow.com. That's thegreen.com.
You are listening to the beautiful Emily Walter on DFCRadio.com.
A Girl in a Garden quick tip. Keep plant families together. This will make it easier for crop rotation in the future. The onion family also includes leeks, garlic, shallots, and chives.
You are my sweetest downfall.
DFCRadio.com.
Welcome to A Girl in a Garden. I'm your host, Emily, and today I am putting together a grow room inside my office. So what I have right now is I have a Grow Lab Horticultural GL 120. This is a 4x4 tent. The interior dimensions, though, are 311 by 311 by 6'7". So I'm going to put this tent together, and I have a ballast from Hydro Farm. This is actually really old school. It's been around forever, but it works. This is typically what I use as a backup burner ballast, but today it's the only ballast I have, so I'm just going to use it. Works great. I got it free many years ago. There are some other great ballasts on the market, but this is a pretty fail-proof one that I have right now. I have a 6-inch Max fan. I also have the 6-inch Dust Shroom, and then a Grow Light OG. And so this is the vertical light for even light distribution. And I am going to put a Sunmaster 600 watts HPS bulb in that. And then when it comes to put the plants in it, I have some General Hydroponics water forms. So I'm going to put 4 of these in there. And since I have 4 of them, I went and picked up the, I never remember what this guy's named, the dual diaphragm from GH. And this can actually be split off, I think, twice for each one, and you can connect up to 16 water farms to this. So this is what I'm going to use to control 4 of them instead of having 4 individual pumps on them. So this is going to be my garden, and I will get all of this stuff set up. So for right now, I am going to put together the tent, and then once the tent is put together, I'll check back in and show how you put the Dust Shroom, the lights, and the fan for cooling the light. So we'll get that all set up. So check back in just a little bit, and we'll show you the progress. here we are with the tent set up and the lights and the fan and the ducting and everything installed into the grow tents. Unfortunately, my mistake, I have a 6-inch Dutch room. I need to exchange it for an 8-inch one. So when that arrives, that will be going over here. And then I have the ducting that was installed, and then there is a can fan that's on the top. As you can see, if I go around to the outside, the can fan is sticking up out of it. And then I added the water farms and the dual diaphragm. So these water farms actually have expanded clay pebbles in them. Now, the most dangerous things about expanded clay pebbles is stepping on them in the middle of the night with no shoes on. But I have a 2-gallon growing chamber, and then this has a 4-gallon reservoir. And you put the water into it and your nutrient solution. You plug it into the dual diaphragm, and that will pump air into it. And that is what will drive your water farm. So this is all set up for right now. I still need to add a few timers, add a few zip ties to it, you know, a little bit of general maintenance. But I'm still waiting for the pepper plants that I planted last week to pop. And once those germinate and have a little bit of time growing in the other tent with the T5 lighting, they'll be switched into here, which has the HPS lighting with the Sunmaster bulb and the grow light hood. So the next thing to do on this is flip the light on. So let me flip this on. I will go over to the ballast. These don't have the timer set up quite yet. And this is an old school ballast, so that means you actually have to plug it in. So I'm going to plug this ballast in, and this will be on a timer, so it will be easier later on. It will automatically do it. And oh wait, I probably should plug the extension cord in too. And as you can hear that humming sound, that is popping it on. And we'll go around to the other side of the tent. That's just starting to pop on. It will get much yellower and brighter with the HPS lighting as it warms up. So this is the tent, and these do have, excuse my camera moves as I'm holding this camera. I can zip this tent up actually all the way, so I can close it, and if I want it to actually still be open, there is a viewing window in them, if you can see. So this will be up and running pretty soon. I have a few little projects to do, I will say, after I set the tent up. And the tent was super easy to put up. This is the Grow Lab horticultural tent from Worldwide Garden Supply. It took me 30 minutes flat to put it together. I need a little bit of help because I'm short, but I could have done it by myself if I needed to. So this will be the grow tent with it. But anyway, as I was saying, super easy to put this together. It took 30 minutes. The hard part was, and I still didn't plug these in all the way, obviously. You can still see them here, is I need to cut the tubing and hook these up. I need to wash my hydroton, install the ducting, which I had a nice one that I could screw in that was easy. But on this other side, since I had a 6-inch fan, I had to put a reducer onto there. And that looks like crap. It's not as clean as I wanted to. Again, I'm short. Someone else had to do it for me because I was too short to reach it. And they are not as a perfectionist as I am. So I was okay with the results. But I got all of that in. And that one took a little bit longer. Hanging the light, I had to get the ratchets. Since the grow light, which is an awesome hood, with the vertical lighting in it, it does put off quite a bit of heat, so there needs to be a little bit of obviously at least 3 feet between the light and the plants. It's not ideal for the tents unless you get one of the taller tents, but it will work absolutely fine. But what I did with this is I made sure I had the water farms that sit pretty low on the ground, and I'm picking some pretty low profile plants to still put off a lot of fruit. So these lower profile plants will go perfect in here. If I was growing something a little bit taller, either the grow light would need to be installed outside and I would have it in a custom room, or I would have to purchase a taller tent. For all purposes of what I'm using it for, this will be just fine. As you see, you can probably still hear the humming, but it has warmed up a little bit. So you see the little bit of light that's putting off. You can see a little bit of the distortion. So one of the things you can use when you're working in your grow room is the Method 7 glasses. I have some resistant glasses. They're specifically for HPS. And they also have a camera film that you can use when you're recording or taking pictures, so you can get some really pristine pictures of what it really should look like. So here I have it with just the regular HPS no filter that we're recording the Grow Tent, and here we're going to slip on that camera film. This is from Method 7, so it's pretty cool. I'm just holding this in front of it. You actually need to mount it. But for all purposes, you can see how much you can see the actual true colors of what this is compared to without. And you can see it's not ideal for taking pictures. You can still take pictures in grow rooms, obviously, by white balancing. You do need to white balance like every 30 seconds, or not every 30 seconds. Every time you move a little bit, though, and you want a different shot, you have to white balance. So I like to use this because I can just slip it on and take some pretty cool pictures that way. Excuse my finger. So here we have it. We have the Grow Tent that is mainly put together. I have a few little things. I still have to get obviously the dust shroom from Horti Control. That was my mistake because I had a 6-inch. And if I really wanted to, I could put a reducer onto here, and then with the reducer attach the dust shroom. But it's easier if I just get a new one and I can just mount it on right here, the 8-inch one. So if you have things that are the wrong sizes, they sell reducers at the hydro store. They're super easy to use. You just gotta have a little bit of elbow grease. But sometimes it's best just to get the right equipment in the beginning. So here we have it. We have my Grow Tent that's all put together. Just a few little timers, and I was able to do that took me maybe 2 hours. And I just have to get, obviously, the water, the nutrients, and the plants, and I will be ready to grow. So this is Emily with The Girl in a Garden on dfcradio.com.
Welcome to a girl.
There, watch me burn. Well, that's alright, because I like the way it hurts. Just gonna stand there and hear me cry. Well, that's alright, because I love the way you lie. I love the way you lie.
I can't tell you what it really is. I can only tell you what it feels like. And right now it's a steel knife in my windpipe. I can't breathe, but I still fight. Well, I can fight as long as the wrong feels right. It's like I'm in flight.
Welcome back to A Girl in a Garden on dfcradio.com. If you missed today's videos, I've actually already posted them on YouTube. So you can find A Girl in a Garden on YouTube. I will say that YouTube doesn't always agree when I try to post videos, but this week it actually worked and I posted everything early. So you can find some of the blog information on agirlinagarden.com. Now that I finally have WordPress on my phone, I can post a lot easier. Or you can find it on YouTube, or head on over to A Girl in a Garden on Facebook. And A Girl in a Garden on Facebook has a little over 11,000 followers. And I post quite a bit of more information there and share articles about gardening on Facebook that I don't always talk about on the show. So definitely recommend following it. It's facebook.com/agirlinagarden. Now, it's time to get the gardens ready for most people. I've had a few people I've talked to that they are still under snow But for me, gardening, as I was saying earlier in the show, gardening is my happy place that I go and de-stress. And then I get tomatoes from it, and I get to work in the dirt and be in the sunshine. And instead of going to the gym, I can go exercise outside. So gardening takes me completely to my happy place. And I went and got another community garden plot, which I have been slowly working on and posting pictures on social media and sharing some pictures here. So I will also be doing some more videos talking about what's growing on in a Girl in a Garden's garden. Right now I have cleared off 3 4x4 garden beds. I've de-weeded all of them. I have topped them off with VermiPro soil from Vermicrop, and that's a new soil that they launched that would be considered similar to ProMix. And it's nice, airy, and fluffy, and great to work with. It took 1 bale to finish off all 3 of the garden beds that I have. So it's so far, I really like working with it, and it's super easy to use. I was able to use it in, I think it's 3.8 cubic feet, and I was able to use all of that to fill up my garden beds. But that also means it's time to start planting. So currently I have a few radicchio plants from last fall that I planted that are still growing. And I will be adding probably a lot more lettuces because that's the perfect time to grow it. Lettuce and mulch, like we were talking earlier. Mulch is your friend. It will help trap in moisture. And it's going to be required this year. So in order to water less, maybe because you're required to, or maybe because it's just easier not to water every day, mulch is going to be your friend. Personally, I advise you to stay away from dyed mulch. So stay away from those big box stores. You can purchase mulch from your independent garden centers, or what I use at the community garden plot is a lot of the counties or private tree services will let you, actually they'll even drop off waste product. So we have piles and piles of mulch that was dropped off at the community garden from one of the tree companies. And it was a win-win situation because they had a place for it to be dropped off instead of disposing of it. And we get to use mulch in the garden. And it's trees from our local around Sonoma County. And the stuff is amazing. So I will be using a lot of that mulch. And if you do need to purchase it, again, go to your independent garden center. Ask the questions so you get the right stuff for your garden. And not the red dyed mulch with chemicals in it. And that stuff's just nasty to work with. So that's just my personal opinion. So I will be gardening and mulching and planting lettuces this upcoming weeks. And I will be sharing my progress of what's growing on in the community garden. Along with more additional tips on water conservation. Because that is going to be a big one. Everyone needs to lend in a helping hand because there's going to be some new requirements. No more washing your cars outside. The sprinklers on in the middle of the day. Just stop that. It's so much evaporation. The lawns are probably going to die anyway. So be proactive and maybe proactive and rip some of them out and get rid of them. So I will be sharing that, and I hope to get some guests lined up that can talk about some different water conservation tips as we get drier and drier. And spring actually just made its appearance last Friday. So spring is officially here, and we have no water. So I will be giving quite a bit of updates on water and what's going on in my garden. Daletron will be joining me next month to give an update on the Barrio Seed Bank party that they had last month. I believe it was February 28th. He was a guest on the show. A Girl in a Garden helped sponsor it, and giving an update on what's growing on there, what kind of community projects they are working on, and some of the involvement they've had with the community. So we'll be hearing from him soon. And obviously, more and more garden information. And now that I did spring cleaning, I will say I've gotten back in the groove of gardening and kind of back into my happy place. It's really nice to take some time to get rid of that extra junk in your life and get started and get growing. So that's what I'm going to focus on, because that puts me into my happy place when I'm gardening. So until next week, this is Emily on A Girl in a Garden on DFCRadio.com.
Youngsters with shovel, and we don't need no trouble. We're just planting where there's rubble.
We're listening to DFC Radio.